Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb, and today we're going to be taking a look at another KTANE modern module tutorial. And today what we're going to be taking a look at is one links to all. So what exactly does this module do? So what we're looking at here is we're currently looking at two different pages from Wikipedia, two different articles rather. And what we must do is we must go through several different hyperlinks based off of the pages that we're given, and we're going to submit that into the module. So for those of you who are familiar with Wikipedia races, what happens is you start at a specific page title, and what your goal is to get to a specific page through a series of hyperlinks. That means you cannot click on anything but the links that are present in here, blue text, or highlight them and they underscore. So what we're going to look at is Wodonga Saints Football Club, and we're going to West Australian Football League. So let's type in Wodonga Saints Football Club, and our end destination is West Australian Football League. Yes. Okay, so now what we must do is let's start looking at what exactly we can do to think about, like, to get to a good point where both of them have in common. So this module makes it tricky because it requires outside knowledge, and looking at what both of these have in common, they're both actually Australian football leagues. So they both have to do with football, and they're both in Australia. So maybe we can actually just find the link right here. For example, let's start in Wodonga Saints. Let's find West. Nope, we cannot find West. But what we can do is perhaps take a look at what they have in common. Do they have, so this one's based in Perth. So if we can get to Perth, that might actually help. Wodonga, Victoria. Maybe Australian rules football, perhaps? Let's follow this link. And what we're going to do is, when we're done, when all that is said and done, we must simply enter in the titles of these pages, such as right here, and between this starting link and this ending title, rather. So let's take a look. So first one that we go through is Australian rules football. So that will be our first link that we click on. And let's see if we can actually get to West. Not get to West Australian. Is it perhaps we can get to Perth, maybe? No. Maybe we can just get out to Australia, perhaps. That might help. So maybe let's actually go back, because I think I did see Australia somewhere. Let's take a look. So if we can find Australia, that would be nice. So maybe let's take a look. Let's actually just go back to here we go. So we can actually follow, instead of following that one, we can follow Bethanga, Victoria. And then next up we can actually go to Australia. So what I normally do with this module is I try to think big and think of what they have in common. In this case, both are actually related in Australia. So maybe going to the continent of Australia will help us in this case. So let's take a look. So we actually can go to Perth right here. So let's actually follow Perth, since Western Australia Football League is based off of Perth. So if we can find West Australian, if we can find anything else. Western Australian Opera, Symphony, perhaps it has sports somewhere. It doesn't look like it does. So maybe what we can do is take a look. So let's see where this is maybe based off. Victorian Football League. Okay. Perhaps Perth Arena, maybe? Let's try Perth Arena. Western Australian government, nope. I believe we have gone off track. This is actually a baseball, so let's actually go back page. West Coast Eagles, maybe? See if we can get some in there. It doesn't look like it wants to cooperate. Perhaps we can go back to Victorian Football League, because that is similar to the Western Australia Football League. So let's maybe go back a few pages. Victorian Country Football League. Let's try that. We can go to AFL Victoria County, or country rather, and perhaps we can find this here. So West Australia does not appear to want to cooperate. So let's maybe go back. What we were doing before. So it was Bethesda, Victoria, Australia, and then Perth. Okay. Perhaps Western Australia. Let's try that. Might be a good place to start. So let's try West Australian Football League. There we go. And just like that, we have the West Australian Football League. So what we must do now is enter in these few links that we clicked here, and just to make sure, we did Western Australia, then Perth, then Australia, then Bethesda, Victoria, back to Wodonga Saints Football Club. So nice thing about this module is actually you don't actually have to use this keyboard here, and it's actually simply connected to your actual keyboard. So you can actually just simply type up what you need to here. Bethesda, Victoria. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's not do that. So let's say if I happen to accidentally mess up. Obviously, we didn't get to Wodonga Saints Football Club, but as you could see there, that was a query. That was and that means that it's trying to connect to the internet and see if those sites actually exist. And in this case, it does return back as true. So we're going to hit submit, but obviously it's going to give us a strike.
I'm afraid I can't take
And note that your answer is actually still kept in here from before. So let's continue on, and we're going to hit this plus to increase the number of the page that will be on. And so on and so forth. Australia, then Perth, and then finally Western Australia. And we'll hit enter because now we have everything that we need. And just a reminder, we're not actually going to put in the top display or the bottom display. It's just the stuff in between. So we'll wait for this to query. Make sure that everything is good to go. This can take a minute. I'll be right back. All right, and we're back. So about a minute or two passed, and now that we have that little check mark, that means that the connection was indeed good. So yeah, if a set of past articles is submitted, and then once the check is complete, a check will appear. If the user input and pressing submit again will reveal the result of the check. In this case, let's hit submit again, and just like that is a solved module. Let's take a look at one final example, but otherwise this module is entirely based on just you looking around for sites. There's not really much else hints that I can give you other than just find different correlations with like what these two beginning and endings have, and see if you can find, for example, countries helps a lot, really focusing on that, and then working from there, because that's probably the best way that you're going to have an approach to this. The module itself is pretty straightforward. It's going from article to article via hyperlinks. to get to from a beginning point to an end point, and noting down those end points, noting down those articles in between to give us an answer. And at the beginning of the bomb as well, it will actually be querying for two different pages that you can start from and end from. So let's see what we get. Okay, so in this first one, we're going to be getting Qui. And for the next one, we're going to be getting Orkney. Let me just make sure. Yeah, we are. Okay, so Qui, in this case, is a surname of the following notable people. In this case, quite a few things here. So this actually does limit us with what we're going to be looking at here. However, what we can do is we can use these countries present and see what we have here. So Orkney, also known as Orkney Islands, is an archipelago of northern isles of Scotland. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to be wanting to head towards the UK in this case. The closest thing to the UK is actually not much close to the UK, but the closest thing in relation to the UK is probably Australia, because it was originally Australia was originally part of Great Britain, and it actually did break away. So let's go with Richard G. Quay. So Richard G. Quay. And let's see, so if we can get Australia in some way, shape, or form. Let's try New South Wales. In this case, okay, so we go New South Wales cricket team. And in this case, we actually are able to get to Australia. So let's go to Australia. And now it was, it probably will mention Great Britain somewhere along the lines. So let's search up Britain. And right here, here's a Great Britain. So we'll look there, Great Britain. Britain, I need to spell that right. Going over to Great Britain in this case. It's actually marked as Kingdom of Great Britain. And what we can do is look around here. Perhaps we can search up Scotland. Scotland, Parliament of Scotland. Scotland, here we go. So Scotland, and the Kingdom of Scotland in this case, that's what it will be marked at, Kingdom of Scotland. And what we must do is look for Orkney, which is Orkney Islands in the Northern Isles of Scotland. So if we can find Northern Isles perhaps in here, or if we can find Orkney in some way, shape, or form. Orkney. Northern Isles perhaps. In this case, we can find Northern Isles in this case, so we'll put that down as Northern Isles. And if we can find, indeed we can find Orkney. And just like that is what is our answer right here. So for our first answer, we have, for our first article that we looked at was Richard G. Way. That's what we went to. Then our next page was New South Wales cricket team. And it is important to note that you actually do have to write down the title of that Wikipedia page that you read. In this case, for example, we normally would have noted down Scotland because of the fact that that's what the link was labeled, but this is referring to the Kingdom of Scotland. So we need to make sure that we're writing that down instead of just Scotland. So next up, in this case, our next one will be Australia. Then Kingdom of Great Britain. Making sure that we're spelling that right. Then Kingdom of Scotland. And then lastly, Northern Isles. Then we're going to hit submit, or enter in this case. And we'll let that do its query thing, and I'll be back in just a moment. Alright, so the module has returned with the check, that it has returned with an official check, so that means it must be something good. Let's hit submit, and just like that, this is all module. As always, thank you guys for watching, remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.